G'day guys, welcome to our August Garden Live. Always get my months mixed up, I nearly said September. Here with Phil again down at Stratco Jeps Cross. How are we, Phil?
Good, mate, and how good is this? We're actually back out in the garden centre.
It's beautiful, it's a beautiful day, the sun's out. It's actually almost warm enough for me to take my jumper off, not quite, still
I've got the sleeves rolled up, so we're all good.
It's a beautiful day, sun's out. And the wind is blowing. I'm not apologise if you can hear it blowing, but no, it's a beautiful day.
We couldn't resist getting out here to sort of broadcast from out in the garden centre. So
absolutely,
yeah,
it's stunning. Spring is well on its way. As Chris has touched on in the garden notes for August. If you haven't checked them out, they're on the website now, so go give it a read. Spring is almost here, and you can definitely feel it. Some days are still the winter cold and the wet and the rain still around, but yeah, the sun's out and it's been out the last couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, temperatures are starting to creep up. Nighttime temperatures are even getting a little bit warmer. So the signs are there, and fingers crossed we get an early spring.
Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, in terms of gardening, what's the transition look like? What's happening?
So I think you'll find for this month, we're winging it really in terms of what we're putting into the garden centres, because with a bit of sunshine, people are getting in and around it. For example, we've started with tomatoes. We've got tomatoes in stock. So tomatoes and strawberries. This to me is the trigger that spring's on its way. As you can see, we've got punnets come through, singles, single strawberries, single punnets. It's fantastic. So you're starting to see that transition towards that sort of stuff. I say we're winging it because along with that, you'd sort of expect to see things like cucumbers, chilies, capsicums, but it's probably still too early for that. The nighttime temperatures are still a bit too chilly for it. So over the next, say, 3 or 4 weeks, we'll start to transition through into that sort of stock.
Okay.
But yeah, it's on its way.
It's here. It's almost here. And we're talking about strawberries. We've got a whole bunch in front of us here that look fantastic. Compared these to the punnets, do these sort of just stay in these pots and stay where they are? Or do you plant them
when
out?
we saw these last week, I suppose, it gives people something that they can buy. It's in a really nice pot already, so it can really stay in that pot for the season, and you can just enjoy picking little strawberries off it. Otherwise, if you wanted to make your own up, there's plenty of hanging baskets and pots that we sell. You could put together your own little cluster of plants that you could plant together.
Yeah, awesome. So in terms of the temperature and the soil, is it warm enough to start planting all these fruits and veggies yet, or not quite?
Not quite. I mean, Chris made a nice little comment in his notes where he said that, it's sort of the spring weather that you can plant out in if you can sit your naked butt down on the ground and it didn't feel cold.
Fair enough.
Now, look,
I haven't heard that one before,
I know Chris quite well, and if that's the way that he goes about sort of testing his garden, then all good on him. But
I hope he's got tall fences.
or his neighbours don't mind.
Yeah. Dear, oh dear. Well, that's interesting. I haven't heard that one before. I don't know if I'll put that into practice.
It's not my go-to. I'm not sort of saying that's the way to judge it. But
that's absolutely.
But really, I guess August is one of those months that we talk about preparation. The next 3 or 4 weeks is really vital in terms of if you do want to sort of start planting your garden early in springtime. Getting your soil prep done, getting your fertilisers and stuff like that into place. Even down to things like if you haven't over the winter time maintained all your tools, your lawnmowers, your secateurs, your saws and stuff like that. This is the month that you really want to take care of a lot of those smaller jobs, just so that sort of as spring comes on, you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the message there is get into the shed, check everything out, maybe give the lawnmower a good turnover and check how it's going.
Absolutely, just make sure that everything's good to go for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially those people that have been a bit lazy, like I have, and haven't got the mower out for the last month or two.
I tell you what, mowers is probably one of those ones that if people are going to have a problem with something in the garden, it'll definitely be the mower.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's great. I guess mowers leads us into grass. Spring means grass season's almost here. What are people doing? So we're looking at giving it its first feed, I would assume.
I've already had people in store looking for like weed and feeds and that.
Okay.
Yeah, as the weather's really starting to warm up, weed and feeds will really become a feature. People like to start the season off by eradicating any of the weeds that might have sort of cropped up through the winter time. So that's not a bad way to go. From there, it would probably be sort of getting into your fertilising regime. So choosing something, to kick the season off, and I'd probably still go with something probably a bit more organic. A golf course green type fertiliser is always good to start the season. And as you get into the season, you can sort of swap across to something like a Green Up or a Sudden Impact, or plenty of good fertilisers out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that brings us to our lawn porn range, which I believe has still got a special running at the moment. So yeah, definitely check it out. There's a whole range of different fertilisers, feeds and things like that they do.
All of that, things like your green light to sort of get a bit of colour back into your lawn. That's one thing I think that sort of leaches out through the colder months. The lawn tends to go a bit yellow and stuff.
Yeah.
And your liquids are a great way of sort of bringing that colour back quite quickly for sure.
Yeah. I mean, touching on specials, there's still plenty of offers available in all your garden centre. We got 20% off potted roses behind the camera there, 15% off stone fruits again. So, what have you got left from that range?
Absolutely. I mean, we're very lucky because we've run into this month with the 15% off stone fruit, and the range is only going to, from this point, get better.
Awesome.
So there'll be plenty of stone fruit to come through. Like you say, the roses are good. We've developed a core range that we're calling Seasonal Savers that we've got 30% off, and that's something that we're going to be offering while stocks last every season. So yeah, like you say, plenty to have a look at and some great offers in store.
Yeah, amazing. One question I had for you, Phil. A lot of new homeowners out there, new gardeners out there. When's a good time to start looking at laying a new lawn and getting that all prepped?
Well, for me, I'd be thinking preparation now.
Yep.
New lawns, I'd say probably about mid-September would be about the earliest.
Okay.
Once again, it really comes down to that soil temperature. So
Yep.
when you know that Chris has pulled his pants up and everything's nice and warm, then it's time to get your lawn onto the ground. You just want to make sure that you're not going to put sort of roll-out lawn onto cold soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Maybe a controversial one for some people, but what is your favourite type of lawn?
Thank you. Look, I can't go past kikuyu.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I guess it could be a bit troublesome in terms of how aggressively it grows. But I think that for me, it's got to have that crawling nature to sort of make sure that it regenerates when it needs to. Kikuyu responds very well to the summers that we get, whereas I think cooches tend to not do so well.
Okay.
Buffalo's been fairly popular, but my choice is going to always be kikuyu.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a controversial topic for some people.
Well, what's yours?
I've only ever had experience with kikuyu, but I've got a new garden coming up soon, so I'm looking at the options. And
So that was the reason for the question.
yeah, it's more of it's a selfish question, guys. It's a selfish question. But yeah, I'm looking at your cooch and your buffalo and thinking what I can get away with, but I've got a large puppy, so she will probably do me no favours if I want to get a cooch or a buffalo.
Absolutely.
So it's always something you've got to consider, I guess. And I mean, on the topic of lawn and spring and summer, we're probably always going to talk about irrigation as well. And I would dare say prep for lawns, you're thinking about irrigation from the start as well.
Now's the perfect time to be looking at irrigation to make sure that it's all cleaned up, that there's no leaks. If you need to add to it, you can add to it. So, it's probably another one of those maintenance type things that you should put on the list just to make sure that, you don't get caught out, because sometimes when the heat comes on, it can come on pretty quickly. And then if the irrigation's not working, you're fighting a sort of a losing battle.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than digging up your irrigation when it's a 35-degree day and you just want some water and nothing's working for you.
Absolutely. You want to be inside sort of enjoying the TV, having a beer or something like that.
That's
You've
it.
got to get out and do your irrigation.
That's it. There's nothing worse. Well, I mean, yeah, spring's almost here. I think that's the message. In terms of veggies, we spoke about a couple just then. What else are we looking, not maybe the start of spring, but as spring sort of comes in, what other veggies can we expect to see that we're looking to plant and get ready?
Well, I think the sort of the big one for us will be the change into chilies. Everyone seems to love chilies nowadays. I guess what you look for is that with the heat factor of the chili, you tend to find it sort of mirrors the temperature increase. So like with chili plants, if you want a hotter chili, the weather has to be hotter for it to germinate and to be in stores. So
Right.
if you want those really hot chilies, you'd expect them to come in by about Christmas time.
Okay.
But along with that, like I say, cucumbers are a big one. They have been for the last couple of years. Capsicums. There'll be a new range of lettuce come through. Yeah, there's plenty coming.
Plenty.
Yeah.
So mild chili. If I'm not much for one for spice, I want to get my chili in soon. Is that right?
Well, it'll be available earlier.
Okay.
So things like jalapenos. I mean, they're not, mild by any means, but jalapenos are probably one of those first ones on, and I dare say we'll see them sometime in September being ready. But things like the ghost chilies and stuff, it'll probably be late November, December before you see them.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know. Not that I'll be eating any chilies anytime soon, but I know plenty of people do enjoy them. That's all right. You can keep it, mate. Give that one to Chris. Well, that's great, and it's good to see. Like we said, spring's around the corner. It's getting warm. It's getting closer. In terms of September, we got some big things planned next month. We're going to be doing a bit of potting on the live for you guys to watch. I'll be commentating, and I think our master here will be showing me how it's done.
Get my hands dirty.
That's it.
Love it.
That's it. A bit of fun and a bit of a hands-on tutorial, I guess, for everyone to watch and get involved in. We spoke about doing a poll. We wanted to do a poll with the audience. Have we got a question?
Oh.
What about, we spoke about grass and favourite types and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. We could do that.
It'd be cool to know what you guys think is your favourite type of lawn. We got kikuyu, buffalo, cooch. Are there any other sort of
ryegrass, bluegrass? But I mean, if you wanted to sort of do a poll on it,
Yeah.
you could do your popular ones, your cooches, your kikuyus, and your buffaloes.
Yeah, well, tell us what you like, guys. Maybe I'll take the winner and put that in my new backyard soon. So, and you got me in my mercy. Perfect, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Encourage any questions about planting, or if there's something you want to see planted next month by Phil, let him know. We love your questions, so get them in. And we'll be seeing you sort of early next month, and hopefully by then, no more rain. And it's
No more rain, and maybe the wind could die down a little bit.
Just slightly. No, there's nothing like a great day. This is a day you want to be playing some sport outside, kicking a ball with the mates. This is it. So looking forward to it, guys, and we'll catch you next month. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. See you.